Lovely to see you, speak to you again, Edith. It'd be nice to be seeing you, but great to be speaking with you. I was wondering if you could tell me how things are going at your firm as regards this crisis.
Well, I think that the well, Pimo, I don't know how you feel about it. I really feel that the world literally turned upside down
Yeah,
in the last 90 days. I think if yeah, I think like all the changes we have experienced is just the beginning. There's going to be a whole lot more changes um, to the world, to the society, to the economy, to how
yeah,
the way we live, we work, and go back to particular to our fund for raise capital.
yeah,
Um, I think we like our focus is this, right? I'd be curious at how other VC that you talk to and how they would answer it differently. But
yeah,
in terms of like our goals and thesis or focus of the funds, is not going to change because there's COVID or there's all these crises going on. That is not changing.
right.
But what is changing is the framework of how we work and how we sort of like structurally how like putting in a lot more, I would say, practices on the day to day in terms of how we look at companies
Okay.
have changed. So just to start with, right, just in terms of practice, I normally will be seeing you at your event physically,
Yes, yeah, like we did last time.
like we did last time, and
Yeah,
that is normal, and that is how I been living, and um, for the longest time, like going to events and meeting companies face to face, have like able to look at somebody in the eyes, really feel the energy. And you don't really have that. Like as much as I actually wrote article, it's kind of funny. I'll tell you all the funny thing that happened,
yeah,
experience I had with Zoom for the last 3 months. But it's really just it's not the same. So I found that as an industry, I think our investment just sort of like in terms of deal by deal basis to on making decision to invest is taking definitely a lot longer. Not because we look at the company differently, but it really takes more due diligence, a lot more specific questions, a lot more homework. We do that already, but now is everything is remote and not touchable, literally.
mm,
So in that sense, I feel like everything is taking longer from our side, and I'm sure like many of the founders, CEOs feeling more frustrated as well.
yeah,
And then also like the way that we look at metrics. So the way that I look at B2B companies in terms of like churn, sales cycle, revenue, like conversion rate, those don't that doesn't change. Neither if we look at consumer, I don't look at a consumer as much, but the same question, right? What's your, if you're mobile, what's your install base, MAU, DAU, churn, all that. But I think like the key difference between sort of pre-COVID and now sort of still in it is a lot of the metrics, if you are in a specific category, let's say you're in gaming or online education, telemedicine, those numbers are skyrocketed, which is great, right?
yeah,
You're really helping um, folks that needs it, like when they're stuck at home or they're not even getting education or medical services, and now you can get it remotely. But what big question mark in my mind is, would this phenomenon continue post COVID? I really hope so. I think that is long overdue, particularly for things that education and telemedicine, because the industry is so old school and it's time for disruption.
yeah,
But
definitely.
but at the same time, as an investor, we want to know that okay, like the way it's being like instrumented, it's great, amazing to see entrepreneurs and companies being so adaptable because
Right.
your customer needs probably like, it's not probably have changed right since COVID. At the same time, I think if I have a choice to have this conversation with you face to face versus staring at the screen, I think
Yeah.
I still prefer face to face.
Yeah.
So yeah, like but more importantly, I think last thing I wanted to address also, regardless all these for what's been happening for the last week, particularly with all the protests. Um,
Yes. Okay.
I think like my biggest thing, and which as a fund, particularly for raise capital, we have looked very deeply into ourselves. It's like, is there anything we need to change? And I think what sometimes I feel like is great to there's we need to voice and sometimes protest to basically there's a lot of inequality in this in our society. At the same time, I think we as an investor we should be even more conscious in investing. We're not just mechanically investing in robots or companies. Robots, it's not robot, it's actually real human.
Yes.
So our founders and CEO have that value system that we believe in. Like, are they going to serve? Is it purely just for making money, or do they have their own moral and or believe that we need to like be even more due diligent to find out about the person.
That's really
Um,
important, isn't it?
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's definitely a lot of changes, but it's not, no pun intended, we can't touch it. We don't want to touch it. But it's very, like more fundamental about how we operate.
Yeah. Okay. That's really nice perspective because it's totally true. Definitely has changed everything. And just while we're on that subject, could you have you had any personal insights during this time? I see it as an enforced retreat, but I'm a Tibetan Buddhist, so it's sort of like, oh, it's an enforced retreat while I'm still working. But I wonder what sort of insights personally you've had out of this.
Um, but personally, not necessarily related to work, and then I'll share with you
Yeah.
some really funny things
Yep.
related to work. Um, so so I'm born and raised in Hong Kong,
Yes.
and actually a big portion of my time, especially the last few years, is really looking at deals in Asia and really kind of particular helping also a lot of portfolio companies to go to market in Asia, particularly Greater China. And I think more personal is that in March I was really thinking hard that okay, maybe I should leave, like fly back to Hong Kong, because there was one weekend they're going to shut down if I don't go.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm still in San Francisco.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
live in Soma, and and I decided not to go. Have a lot to do with other than the plane is actually the most dangerous place in terms of
That's
catching
what I figure. Yeah.
any sort of
Really.
viruses. Otherwise, I'm sure you are originally from Australia, right?
Originally, yes. All
Yes.
my kids were going, like my grown up kids were going, come back home. I'm like, I'm not getting on a plane.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, and then a few things I absolutely learned. One is, well, plane is one thing, but I would get to see my family, particularly my parents. But the back of my mind, if I catch something, like we are healthy people, we probably won't, may not, the chance of even get really sick may not be that high. But
Yeah.
more importantly, is we could be carrying the virus without knowing it and still impact somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that sense of realizing that it's not just about us or individual, it's about the great, like the community,
The collective. Yeah.
the collective. And that is something that I think we need to think hard about. And then second is, you know what, like if I don't enjoy my own company, who want to hang out with me anyway? So it's really about like living with yourself and really enjoying and finding that inner peace almost.
Yes. Yes.
So that's more personal. But I have to say, I think from a mental sort of like stimulation, oh my God, like basically Zoom, or in this case, we're using Sandcaster,
Yeah.
is stimulating. And yeah, so the funny thing I want to share, and which leads into the article I wrote about,
Yeah,
how do you actually conduct all these meetings and present on Zoom, right? Because
yeah.
I would say 90% of my time on Zoom is actually like talking to the company founder, CEO, and watching them pitch. And
Right.
you cannot imagine, like there are founders like will Zoom and drive. Um, like
Oh my God, goodness, it's like multi-dexterous.
I'm not joking. I was literally fearful. Like I was scared for his life.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, I said, it's okay not to talk now. He's like, don't worry about it. Right. Um, and
Oh
that's
my gosh.
one. And then it's so funny. Like just a little thing cracks me up. I, my yeah, my partners there, particularly Chris and Alfred, they are crazy about lighting, and they are all expert photographers. So they're using amazing DSLR camera for their Zoom calls, which is
Yeah,
unusual. But a lot of the founders, like they will little things like they will sit right behind a really bright window, so it looks like they're a Darth Vader. Like I just can't see their face. It's
yeah,
hilarious.
yeah,
And then I think more than ever, the good and bad is much less and less small talk. I feel like if you're pitching on Zoom, you really need to like, and I am trying to do the same thing for myself too with any other meeting, is you basically replace the face to face, right, with different medium. You need to treat that as just like you're doing face to face.
right.
So set an agenda, respectful of people's time, um, and sometimes you'll be funny, like they think that they didn't mute themselves, but they could be doing a lot of funky thing in the
Yeah,
bathroom.
yeah.
In other places you're like, wow,
I,
okay, you
I
know.
talked to Anne Windblad from this just before you, and she was saying it's
Uh-huh.
amazing to see the inside of so many people's living rooms and bedrooms.
Yeah, yes,
So, yeah, it's a
really
whole
really
new
fun.
reality.
Yes.
Um, could you tell me what you guys or what you like to focus on in as far as your investments go?
Yeah, so we in raise capital in terms of industry, we've been really focused on enterprise infrastructure, anything related to data, AI, fintech infrastructure. We're really big on that. We have a very we're really excited actually this whole work from home phenomenon, because I think that it really and empower a lot of this. It doesn't matter you're a tech company or not, of small businesses be able to tap into the whole world in terms of talent.
Yeah,
And because of that, I call it enterprise, but really it's also for smaller businesses too. But now you should be even more aware about like at home employee security, at home sort of data privacy. A lot of the infrastructure you don't necessarily have to worry about when you're at the office, because your IT department pretty much take care of it,
yep,
and they still do, but now is sort of even more important. Like, so I think more and more these sort of self-service enterprise infrastructure sort of support this whole phenomenon would do really well. We're excited about that. And then in terms of stage, we still focus on early to A.
okay,
Our early was our seed check could be anywhere from a quarter of a million up to 2 million. We are mindful of that. And then I would say in terms of geography, seriously, pre-COVID, I would say, hey, yeah, majority of our investment will continue to be in Silicon Valley. And now I'm thinking about it. Well, what difference does it make that
yeah,
you sit in Palo Alto versus you could be, I don't know, sitting in, I don't know, like Arizona? It's the same to me because I don't see you anyway. Um,
yeah,
so in some sense, I think what's going on is broaden like the geography reach,
great,
for us too. Like in
yeah,
terms of type of companies where, yeah, maybe we need to loosen up a little, like in terms of where these companies are.
yeah. And how did you manage your portfolio when the crisis hit? And how are you managing them as you go along now?
Yeah, I think the good thing is, our fund like really is still really young.
Okay.
So a lot of our existing portfolio company, we did a few things. One is immediately the first week. I'm happy to send you to. We sent out almost like a checklist in terms of for all operations, in
Right.
all area of operation. It's not just only like about cutting costs, but obviously if you think about it, right? We it doesn't matter. I'm talking to somebody who built a McDonald's versus building a SaaS company.
Yeah.
All of them need to think about their own product. So product and engineering. So in that side of things, okay, is there certain product feature you may need to adjust, change, or maybe even accelerate because of the special times? Do you probably many of them need to adjust their sales target and revenue goal just because their customer is taking longer to make
Yeah.
decision, and some of them are delaying paying. It's happening.
Yeah.
um, and because of that, you see marketing. All right, like should you actually expand marketing or reduce it? This is not necessarily all about retract. It's not about like reduce. It could be bullish on certain area too. So this is not just a one way formula. It really depends on the vertical you focus on. So actually, we talk about many things in terms of operation for our existing portfolio company. But um, I think our key thing we wanted to emphasize to our company is that we don't only wanted to invest in survivor, we want to invest in winners.
Right.
So what are you doing now? Temporary is important, but even more importantly is how are you able to really like 5, 10 years from now, how are you changing the way we work, we live, we operate, and how your company is going to take part of that? That's actually really about mindset and taking care of their own people. I think it's actually really unfortunate and sad to see that in Q1 there's a thing called, I think, the CEO dot like tracking of like I have to look it up. The literally
Yeah.
statistic about over 200 corporate America CEO quit in Q1 this year,
Wow.
and it's so annoying in terms of how many captain literally abandoned their ship in the worst
Oh,
time in
yeah.
history.
Got it.
So, and I feel like it depends on what industry. I think some of our CEO, they're young, they never experienced any hardship whatsoever before, not like this.
Yes. Yeah.
So I feel like sometimes I almost become like a psychotherapist. Uh,
It's dangerous territory.
I know I am so not qualified on doing it, but it's about like making sure that you're like hanging in there mentally. And if you are a captain of a ship, you are the one that need to, you know, be there for all the employee, your teammates, right?
Yeah.
And it's just insane, like to see how many CEO jump ship and how many immature practice of layoff that's been happening in our industry. So
Right.
yeah, just a lot of our beginning of it is really making sure our portfolio companies are okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, would love to get that link to your article and the checklist. We can add it to the when I post the podcast.
Of course.
Edith, look, thank you so much for your time today, and also for all this information. It's been really incredible, and I really wish you and Chris and your partner the best with the fund.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And
And
please be healthy. And
hopefully we can circle back when the new normal is much more clear.
yes, I can't wait. Yeah, I can't wait.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.